Welcome to another episode of In the Line of Wire. I'm Jahan Ara, and today I have with me Sabeen Mahmood, a colleague, a friend, and a co-conspirator on a lot of things that we've done. Hi, Sabeen.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. It's so
Good
great to
have
be
you
here.
We're going to have a fun show.
Absolutely.
Nothing serious.
I insist.
Okay. Now tell us a little about yourself for those who don't know you, although I think there are very few who don't know you, but nonetheless, give us a little about your background.
One-liner.
Oh, no, a little more than a one-liner.
Okay. Well, I started working at 15.
Okay.
And I tried very hard to drop out of college
Okay.
unsuccessfully. So I'm a wannabe dropout.
Okay.
But I spent all my time outside class to compensate for the lack of being able to drop out.
Okay.
I started working while I was still in school.
Mm-hmm.
I got introduced to the Mac when I started having problems at grammar school when I'd taken computer science. And that's when I met.
That's when you were told that you would never amount to anything in the technical
Yeah,
field,
yeah. You know,
right?
as schools do, they break your spirit.
Yeah.
And some of us survived despite schools.
Right.
So I met Zach and my first Mac right about then, O levels ke time pe.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love when I saw that Mac Plus sitting there. And I just knew.
The 9-inch screen.
Yeah, glowing away, just so beautiful. And I knew I had to have one. Before that, I had a PC, and all I knew how to do was C prompt and some bricks game that I liked.
Yeah, but everybody thinks you're such a techie. So how come that's all you do?
But that's implying that people who use Macs can't be techies.
Yeah, that's what people say.
Well, people don't know any better.
Okay, but Macs were very expensive at that time.
Macs were very expensive at that time. I remember calling up. So I saw this Mac at Solutions Unlimited, which was one of the Apple dealerships, and I just thought, what a beautiful thing, and I need to own one. And I called up Zach and I said, "Acha, kitne ka hai?" And he said 47,000.
Wow.
And this was in 1989.
When 47,000 was a lot of
was
money
an
for a
enormous sum.
student.
And so if people used to think that Macs were expensive back then, they really were.
Yeah.
They were. And it was a 1 megahertz machine with
with a floppy drive.
1 megabyte of RAM and 1 floppy drive. No hard drive, obviously. CD-ROMs had not been invented.
Right.
And I said, I have to have this. I could see that my life was going to change because I'd seen it around the office. And so then what I did was that for a year, Eid money, birthday money, pocket money, that stupid PC.
Lunch money.
Everything.
That's why you were thin at that time.
Such kindness. Yeah. So I put together all that money and then I was able to buy it.
Okay.
And then my life changed. So Pink Floyd and the Mac I discovered around the same time. And I taught myself over the summer holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went off to college in Lahore. And I took that Mac with me, and it used to be like a laptop. I used to lug it around all over the place.
Well, it was light enough to carry.
Yeah. And then when I went to the hostel, then I took it with me. I started working on college
producing,
magazine.
the magazine.
And it was great. It was great because I learned so much about life. I had said earlier that I spent all my time outside class, but I was learning a lot about life in Lahore, living on my own, getting around. Getting that magazine printed, we used to, Connect College, the hostel was really like a prison. They only used to let us out once a week.
Gosh.
And in that one day, then I used to rush to to some Apple dealership, which got me in touch with the printer, and I used to take out proofs at the Apple company, then run off to the printer, and and there was this Asian women's magazine that I used to take out. So I really learned a lot about desktop publishing and going from design to print. Develop my hatred of Jaggies then. And Zach used to send me these clip art discs that they used to put together and fonts, and that's when I discovered Tetris.
Right.
And lots of, all those.
It was an exciting time.
It was very exciting.
A lot that people take for granted now was sort of things that you needed to discover and add on to your machine.
Absolutely. And then I used to come back for the holidays, and even when there weren't holidays, we were always trying to come back home. And I used to go straight to the office,
Right.
to Solutions Unlimited, and it was so exciting because I learned how to solder, and I learned how to change motherboards and install RAM and all this fun stuff. And the clients at that time were people like Ardeshir Kawasji and Arshad Mahmood and Tina Sani, and they were all using Arshad used to use it for his music.
That's right. Yeah.
And
He
so
had the 840 AV, right?
for the longest time.
Yeah.
He's just recently changed it.
Yeah.
And so
Which most of our viewers will not even have heard of because it was before
so,
their time.
Yeah, I know. Way back in the day, I feel so old now.
Yeah, but it was a beautiful machine.
It really
I mean,
was.
For audio,
we
video,
used it. You
I had
one?
it for the longest time. It was my first machine at Enabling Technologies,
Yeah.
and I still have it actually. I could start.
Do you have
it.
your little Apple museum? Because I have
Yes,
like a
yes.
whole
Yes.
area in the store which has all these things from pins to. I think I have a style writer as well in terms
I
of
think
hardware.
we should set up an Apple museum together. Between you, me, and Zach, we should have
I think
loads of things.
yeah, we'll cover everything.
Right. So I mean, Macs. Yes. I mean, they started desktop publishing
Sure.
basically.
Save the Mac actually from death and destruction.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So then, of course, you were part of Enabling Technologies and the team. That
Yeah, so in college, while I was at college, I started working at Solutions Unlimited,
Yeah.
interning, working, whatever. It was education and
Yes.
work, and so I used to come back from college and go straight there. Then
I think that's what's missing, you know, the polytech part of education.
Yeah.
Because it's all theory,
Totally.
and very, very restricted lab work, which is not
Sure.
quite the same as real work.
And I think, I mean, I was lucky, and some of us are lucky. We find a passion or
Right.
something happens, and we get fascinated by something, and then very early
That's
on
what you
this
want
is
to
what
do.
you want
Yeah.
to do. So the
Yeah.
path then is very clear, and then you'll do whatever it takes to feed that passion.
Right.
And I was excited about the Mac, I guess, and the world that it opened up. And so whether it was graphic design, whether it was, I mean, you said that something about me being a techie, and so I used to do multimedia programming,
Yeah.
if you remember. But I've always been very fascinated by programming, but I did a bit of it at school. And on the Mac, I remember sending for Code Warrior back in the day when there was
I
no
remember
Amazon, and then I had this little shrine to Code Warrior, but I could never really do anything with it.
I think you wanted solutions rather than just being restricted to coding.
Sure. So, and then Enabling Technologies started, and I joined that right out of college.
Yeah.
And
we did some really amazing
we
work.
did such great fun work, and there were just a few of us, and that's how I've always believed things should be. A few people who are just crazy about what they do, and yeah.
And then at BITS, you did some cutting edge stuff.
So the transition from ET, so Solutions Unlimited was also going on. If you
Yeah.
remember, I ran that for a while, and then it just got too cutthroat, and you couldn't really control a number of things. But I think while Solutions Unlimited was there selling Macs and servicing Macs, we met a number of great people.
Yeah.
And the philosophy that the company had been set up for was, not pushing boxes, but providing solutions. We did.
And support. I mean, the
And
kind
support.
of support that I think Solutions
That
Unlimited
gave-
provided
Yeah.
is not something
was
that I
beyond
see with
anything.
any hardware.
And people ask about, now about T2F, and I think those were the early days of meeting all those great people. So
Yeah.
you'd go there to fix
Yeah.
a Mac that wasn't working or was acting up, and then you'd stay, and then you'd, you'd
Talk
talk,
to them.
about
Yeah.
stuff, and it was just so exciting. And then so the transition from Solutions to Enabling Technologies, that happened, and then we were doing all this great multimedia work, developing CDs, the first CD.
First CD, the first kiosk.
And ironically, the first CD that we did was for IBM,
Yeah.
done on a Mac. But I just have to say at this point that I was very militant back then about Mac versus PC. I can't be fussed anymore, and you grow up, basically. And there's a new generation of people, and Rabia Garib is rolling eyes saying, grow up. Like what?
She actually ditched the Mac laptop, She just.
We'll take her on
Yeah.
that later. We shall have a separate episode.
Right.
So people can't people will attack the Mac. But I used Windows. If you remember, I was the youngest, and you guys.
And we made you use
use. You're like, we're not touching this stuff. All the testing that has to be done, all the compilation on Windows, you do.
We were
because,
bad.
Yeah, that was really cruel. So I used it. I had to. And so my choices became even more, reinforced. It was really bad. And maybe things have improved now and things have gotten better on the PC. I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't touch it.
It's a preference.
It's a preference, and so I don't know why anyone has to attack me. I speak from experience. There are people who bash the Mac who've never used it.
Right.
So anyway, so then the web was just becoming really hot at that time, and so Bits was started in 2000, and we started off doing websites, and that was a time when everyone was setting up IT companies because it was the thing to do.
But you didn't do just websites. You were actually doing web solutions
Solutions at that time, because and we never followed that route of setting up a back office in Pakistan and a front office in America and let's get American clients. We were, what my passion again at that time was helping local companies harness the internet, and it was such a revelation to me that we thought at that time with the whole .com boom happening that we're going to save the world from death and destruction, and all these big companies will die, and we know how to save, how to solve problems, and it's all going to happen through the internet. Naive and heady days they were. And I felt that why aren't people doing this for local companies?
Correct.
And so it was a bit of a frustrating time as well, because companies here just didn't get it, and you were creating a new market. But within that, we still managed to do some exciting stuff, and it was all, you're right, it was about web solutions.
It's the same. I was talking to somebody in advertising the other day, and I said, I'm not excited by much of the advertising that is created in this country. And she said to me, well, very often it's the client that restricts us. And I think that was true of websites as well, because when you tried to tell the client that, look, this is what you can do, they would say, no. Use
It's
blue
true.
and white. And
It's true to some extent, but I remember going to see one large client, and they said, and I'm a big fan of white space in design, and I'm a minimalist designer. So we went to see this client, and he said there were 3 or 4 of them, some were okay, but this one gentleman in particular had this strong sense of how he wanted his website to look, and that's okay, except when you don't agree with what they're saying. And so he said, just fill up the whole screen, don't leave any
space,
blank areas.
Let's use everything.
Meaning it seemed almost as if they were paying per pixel, and they wanted you to put your stamp on every every part of the canvas. We didn't take that project because I knew that it would be a nightmare working with this person. Trying to get him to understand our philosophy would have been impossible, and then he probably felt that he's signing the check, and so he calls the shots. And so we would turn down work where we got a sense that it would be difficult to do things a certain way. And I think you need to take a stand.
You do.
Otherwise, you'll end up saying exactly this. You'll keep looking for scapegoats. You'll keep looking for people to blame it on. But I have to say that to some extent, clients do.
But if you explain it to them, some clients are very understanding.
Yeah, but and we would take the time needed to make them understand, and that would be on our own time. And we do extra work. We do presentations. We try and do it insidiously. We say, okay, here's what you asked for, but here's something else. And that's why, we never made much money.
You are much more understanding of clients now. I remember when we went to, I think, one of our earlier clients, and they said something really stupid, and you actually immediately said, but that's stupid, and I had to kick you under the table.
I remember, and I think that I was so lucky that in those early days, I was 16, 17, and I had people to groom me and nurture me and say कि अच्छा ऐसे नहीं करते हैं ये इस वक्त there's this fine line between assertiveness and aggression.
No, I mean it's a breath of fresh air, but at the same time there is a sort of a middle ground.
And you have to learn, and someone has to tell you, and they don't teach you these things. And I don't really count myself as having gone to college, but and certainly no business school or anything like that. So I was lucky that enthusiasm and that passion could have been nurtured into And yeah, I'm sometimes now Zach tells me कि तुमने क्यों नहीं कुछ बोला, you know, and I was like, नहीं, there's a time and place for everything. Remember, you guys taught me
Yes, but
not
now
to
we
shoot
are-
my mouth off.
But now we are going back and we are now sort of shooting our
Yeah.
mouths off.
phases.
Right.
So I think you have to create that space.
Right.
And if you believe in something strongly enough, or you believe in an idea, you have to fight for it. And it's just such a cop out to say कि वो नहीं करने देते. And so by the time, you know, so in those early days when BITS had just started and we were developing our credentials, establishing credibility, you take some of this. लेकिन एक point आता है when you feel that, you know, you people should respect you for what you believe in and what you are offering, otherwise they can go somewhere else.
Yeah, because you know you're the professional. As organizations, multinationals especially should accept that they're good at certain things, and then there are niches where people are professionals, and
Which
they should
is,
listen
I'm
to them.
assuming, why they've come to you, right? If
Exactly.
someone's good at selling soap,
Yeah.
then or producing soap, but need people to help them sell it using different media, then you know, then why butt into somebody else's space? And so you need to fight for that, and we did. And when it reached a point when I'd been doing this for many years and had now, you know, the T2F idea had started taking not shape exactly as T2F, but I think my frustration was reaching a certain point. Then I decided that now is the time for a change.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
we
because
still
there comes a time when, okay, enough of this.
Yeah, you don't want to take it anymore. And you've done it enough, and then you hope that people will seek you out when they really believe in what you are offering. And so,
But tell me, before we move on to T2F, which I also want to talk about, and how you've used the new media to effectively to not only market it but create an awareness. E-learning. I mean, we've been talking about e-learning for donkey's years.
yeah.
Has it really happened in
No.
Pakistan?
Has learning really happened in Pakistan? Does it really happen in Pakistan?
No, come on. Some areas, yes.
Okay, if you insist.
But e-learning, I mean, there's so much that we can do using technology.
It's surprising that
Why?
that
Why
people aren't.
hasn't-
I mean,
why hasn't-
we're starting on a new project now for class 6, 7, and 8 in math, science, and English. But again, you know, it's a project, and we've spent enough time doing things our way and frittering away the money that was for the project on actually trying to teach people about, you know, a different way of approaching content and ideas. At this time, we're just, you know, we're going to focus on what they want and try and bring in some engagement, you know, make it
Some
exciting
interaction,
wherever
make it
possible. But at the end of the day, we're cognizant of the fact that it's going to be used in government schools. And, you know, naturally, these kids, by the time they get to class 8, then it's metric exams. I think the big problem about why it's not being used, perhaps one reason, and it depends what level you're talking about. You know,
it's not being
e-learning,
used at any level.
It's not being used at any level. Just yesterday, someone called and said कि वो bank है और हमें e-learning, you know, we can't pick up everyone at one time and send them off for training, so we're looking at a CD.
But you know, so far back, we worked together on the Unilever training project.
Yeah.
And why hasn't that been done by others? I mean, it was such a good way of imparting learning to managers and employees.
I think it's
at different
probably,
levels.
two reasons. One, एक तो वो जो school level की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो it's all about passing exams.
Right.
So I think that's one,
not about
and tests and exams, and it's not about learning. And so kids are just used to being in that system of memorization, and so and schools don't have the money or aren't willing to spend the money to invest on something like this. You would
Yeah.
agree that it
Yeah.
takes it costs.
It costs, of course.
You know, especially if you're going to do intelligent work, it
Not
requires
just scanning books and putting them up there.
and just doing
adding
page
music.
turners
Yeah.
and saying, well, here's an interactive CD because I can say next and previous.
Yeah.
That's not what e-learning is about. Then people aren't willing to pay. Then at the higher level, let's say the corporate level, they're just again just too steeped in their ways, and काम चल रहा है, पैसा बन रहा है, तो why invest? I think the trouble is about investment.
Okay. Okay. Now, we had a booming economy, and I think we will have a booming economy
Yeah.
again, and people are still spending. And they spent loads, whether it's the telecoms, whether it's the banks, whether it's the multinationals,
Yeah.
on all types of advertising, but nothing on interactive, engaged multimedia or learning applications.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean,
It's just-
don't they see it?
It's tragic, and I've had this argument with people at companies like Unilever. For example, they would spend 4 crores on a 30-second television commercial shot in Bangkok, shot beautifully.
Right.
Same storyline, you know, this woman wakes up, makes tea for her husband, and so it's, you know, it's shining and glitzy because it's been shot and edited somewhere else.
And some famous movie star has been used for it.
And so they'll spend that much money on a jaded story, and then they'll come to us and say, well, make this, you know, we've got someone coming from overseas, or we need to wow such and such audience, make us an animated multimedia whatever presentation
And this
story.
is the peanuts we're
And
going to
so
pay
you'd
for
say,
it.
okay, well, this is going to cost you 100,000 rupees. 10 minutes of animated
That's nothing.
content,
Yeah,
you know, 100,000 or 125,000, and they'd be like, that's too much. And so I'd say that you've just frittered away all this money on something that's going to be shown. There's hardly any recall. You'll make this multimedia presentation, you'll use and reuse it as much as you want. It'll stay there as a case study for other people to look at. And इस पे आपको इतनी परेशानी हो रही है. I think that there's just no respect for our industry. And this was multimedia. अच्छा, there's a problem. I think what it is कि computer है ना, एक button press करें और हो जाएगा. And this is this horrifying
There's no
lack
understanding of the
process.
design, the process, the project
so
management.
they tell us that, you know, so the growth of XYZ product over the last 1 year has been 16%. Now, so we'd say, okay, now you've got this content, someone has taken that material, edited it, put it into the workflow. It's gone to the designer. The designer has made a screen. With 16% being this key piece of information, it then goes to the animator, keyframe animation, you know, steps. And why, if, you know, why does our work look better than a PowerPoint presentation? Because it goes through all these steps. There's a designer designs it.
A lot
You're
of thought and
you're
brainstorming goes-
choosing a typeface that works.
Of course.
Now, so now that text is actually an image, right? And then it's spread over several frames to complete this animation. And they'll come the next day and they'll say, oh, it's not 16%, actually it's 22%.
Can you please
And
change it?
Please
Press a
give
button.
it to us. We're waiting in the lobby. आप जरा करके दे दें. अब करके दे दें means, and you know, I was a bit particular about the fact that, okay, things like this, then send it right back to where it started. Make a change in the text file as well.
Right.
Because then you don't want this mismatch, because you know what happens when different pieces of the puzzle are, when it's not aligned, and you know,
Correct.
everyone isn't working with the same content, and then people are saving different versions, and then you end up giving the wrong thing. And so that would take a little longer to do it my way.
Right.
And so there's no understanding. They think you just have to press a button and it gets done. And they say PowerPoint में तो हम बस उधर बदलते और बस हो जाता, तो
PowerPoint लगता भी तो वैसा
है कि तो फिर उसी में कर लो ना. Why have you come to us? And so I think it's a glaring lack of understanding the process, and the fact that just because it's a computer doesn't mean it's all easy. I wish it were.
But you know,
But-
even within the software industry, anybody who does animation or multimedia or new media is considered to be, you know,
Frivolous.
frivolous or
not
an
real
amateur.
work.
It's not real technology that's being worked.
It's an obnoxious point of view, and I don't know. I mean, why don't we respect each other's work? I mean, I think a code, someone who writes code and really is passionate about it, does it well, is also creating, you know,
course.
code is poetry.
Yeah.
And there are many different ways to write it, and there are people who can achieve something in 2 lines of code, and someone will plug along and take 2 days to write 200 lines of code, and the person who can do it effectively in 2 lines is a hero,
It's
as far as I'm
brilliant,
so
yeah,
so it's brilliant. And so someone who's doing a front end for that code is equally, if not more, at certain times important. Like when the user first comes along, right? My interface design is what he'll
is
interact with.
Exactly.
Once he's gone past that and a transaction needs to take place, the coder is king or queen. And if that process doesn't work, then my beautiful
design doesn't work either.
So it's all critical, and this is cause for conflict in a lot of companies where all of these kinds of jobs are going on. Then, you know, there'll be this big rift between the designers and the coders, and the coders will think इनका तो बच्चों का काम है, ये तो कोई भी कर सकता है, फोटोशॉप में बस लाइन बना दी तो ये तो मैं भी कर सकता हूँ, ये तो मेरा 6 साल का भतीजा भी कर सकता है, तो इसमें क्या है? What is, you know, I don't know.
That's why, I mean, very often the design team is totally disconnected with.
But that's something at BITS that we really put in an effort in trying to, you know, at least create an understanding.
Of course.
And
it makes for a more streamlined operation as well.
Absolutely, and there's more synergy between the teams, and also professionally, technically, if a designer has produced something that, let's say, every project is different. If you've been given a week to do something and the designer has come up with something that may take, let's say, a long time to integrate, you know, you reassemble everything in HTML, and we've pushed the poor browser to a point where it really wasn't designed to do any of what we do to it. If it's going to take, let's say, an extraordinary amount of time to get it done, then the designer also needs to understand what that integrator, what that programmer is going to go through.
Exactly.
And you might decide that in the interest of time, maybe we can try something a little simpler.
Right.
But they wouldn't know if
they were totally disconnected.
Yeah.
From. Now we've always been, I mean, from the days of enabling technologies, BITS, and a lot of companies in that space, we've always talked about the fact that design schools and tech schools should work on projects together. And now we've gone that extra mile and said tech schools and business schools should work together. If we're going to provide solutions for business, as well as solutions for the community, you need all three of these divisions to be working together.
Absolutely.
But it's not happening.
It's not happening. Everyone's in their little insular space. There's competition, and you know how anti-competition I am. It boggles my mind, and I think it's an awful thing. And people say that, oh, innovation doesn't take place without competition. And anyway, that's a whole other debate, and we will have one of these at T2F one day, and everyone can scream their heads off, and it'll be great fun. But I think, yeah, it's competition. Why would people want to open up and share when all they're trying to do is get ahead?
For a bigger objective?
But how many people are really committed to the greater common good? Because businesses, because of competition, inherently, businesses are not set up that way, and then that's why you see these CSR departments, you know, these separate little things designed to make everything okay, you know. So, I'm doing my little bit for the community, but if you integrated it into your business, you wouldn't need a CSR department. You wouldn't need to make this big fuss about CSR, because you
should be socially responsible companies as a whole.
And it's sad that we need to even talk about it, you know, but look at what we've seen with all this white collar crime taking place. Clearly now, people are feeling this great need to show how good and noble they are, so they set up these divisions. But this collaboration, I think, with independent entities hasn't taken place. I think probably logistically it's not possible. And
they have to finish the curriculum.
And they need to finish the curriculum because those kids need to pass exams, because somebody needs to do well. So again, it just boils down to competition.
Correct. Anyway, we're working on a project that may make slight difference to what's happening,
really good,
and we'll involve you definitely.
And
we're always looking for volunteers.
And a true liberal arts university will do this.
Will do this.
I haven't been to university abroad, so I don't know, but from what I hear and you know what peers talk about, is this again this cross-pollination of ideas, and you're encouraged to go and take courses at other universities.
It makes for a more holistic human being who will be more successful in any definition of the word successful.
Absolutely. And so if you're too focused and then you know you have this tunnel vision or specialization, then you miss out on all these other exciting things. Like the designers also need to know not just about technology but about business.
Correct.
They're choosing an area that is a commercial area. Even an artist, look, we're all in the business of selling an idea, and so everyone needs to sell, and so everyone should know how to, you know, and use whatever means there are available that are not criminal to do so.
Correct. No, totally agreed. Okay, now let's switch gear and move on to T2F. that started as something, as a space where you wanted culture to be nurtured. And you've used technology very effectively to get the word out, to build a community, and you've got supporters and people who are now sort of willing to volunteer their time, volunteer money, volunteer all sorts of things to make things better for T2F, because they feel that the space has made things better for them. How and why is it that more people don't use technology in the way that you have? First, tell us how you've used it.
Right.
And so maybe people will get ideas.
Well, when the space was being set up, because my background was in technology, the first thing that one did was set up a website.
Right.
And again, there was not that much time, and I was using people from Bits to do the site, and in their hardly available free time. But I said, "Ye karna hai, please kar do." And so it was a small, maybe I think it was just a one-page site initially, but it had, and I wish people would use this more often to legitimately get users to sign in, that when you're developing a full-blown website, it's going to take some time. Put in a sign up to be alerted when the site goes live kind of little widget.
Right. Or when the project starts, or if you're interested in the basic message.
Whatever it is that, whether it's a chocolate company or it's a tech company, whatever, sign up and we'll let you know.
And not under construction.
Exactly. And, do one page, but make it complete within itself.
Right.
So we did that, and people started signing up because they were curious. And we had this one-page PDF that I was sending to friends and family, no spam, just to people we knew, and we'd say that if you know anyone who'd be interested, pass it on, and so people would forward it, then they would go and sign up on the site. And so when we started, we had a legitimate base of interested people.
Right.
And they had opted in, they had signed up. And so the mailing list became the key way to disseminate information. And very early on, a decision was made that nothing was ever going to be printed and sent out. It's a non-profit organization with a strong environmental agenda as well. And frankly, now it's just logistically impossible. With 2 or 3 events a week, you just can't.
And also it's cost effective.
It's very cost
effective. It also makes good business sense.
Absolutely. So there were many reasons why one chose.
But let's take a step back before you developed a theme, you decided on colors, fonts, all that. I want you to talk about that, because people don't. They just sort of evolve in all directions.
Right. So I mean, obviously one of the key things initially was building a brand and positioning.
Correct.
And so, and then the most tangible output of that process is a logo.
Right.
And so, colors were decided upon fairly early. 4 colors, earth tones, orange, green, brown and yellow. Our crockery was that color. And so once that was decided upon, it was a personal choice. These are colors I like and these work well together. Instinctively, I felt they worked, and so everything kind of worked around that theme. And I think it's important to develop that kind of blueprint, that style guide, which then gets used across all media.
Right.
You use
and
it
that works in any size, because people forget when they're making a design that it also needs to go on a visiting card. It also needs to go on mugs and cups.
And now there are all sorts of issues that, with social networking. So you've got this logo. Does it work on Facebook? I mean, yesterday I was helping a client in the middle of the night. They're like, we need to launch our Facebook page. Our logo is rectangular. It's fine. On the page on the top left, you've got your big logo and it's fine. But then what Facebook does is it creates from that image a little square thumbnail, which is then used all over your site and everywhere else.
How does it become a square?
So what they do is they let you adjust the frame a little bit, but it doesn't always work, because a rectangular logo, all the elements in that logo are working together. Now it's not necessary that a tiny portion from that is going to work.
Right.
So I had faced that with my own, with T2F, and had suffered a little bit. Now I've just made a different picture when we had our second birthday. Mm-hmm. But there was this problem. So now, today, people are going to need to design for YouTube.
Right.
Unka logo ka ek size hai that works properly. Facebook ke liye, Twitter ke liye. None of these things were a consideration when we started just 2 years ago.
But are ad agencies learning this?
No,
because
they
they're
still
the brand managers for most of these
they
companies.
still design websites at 300 dpi with crop marks. I mean, hello. It's
But it needs to be, maybe we should run some sessions for ad agencies. Really, seriously.
You know, sure, if Pasha decide, see, for those to be successful, they
Somebody-
need to be willing
Right.
to learn
Yeah.
from us, you know. And in this case, we will be marginalized as techies.
Right.
The techies marginalize us as creative types. And that's why, and BITS was always on the fringes of,
Right.
and ET as well.
Yeah.
You know, so we could go in whichever direction we wanted. It was quite fun. But this is the thing, that everyone's in their comfort zone. Everyone knows everything. Why would they want to learn from you and me? It would be great.
But
it's
why is it that
essential
we are willing to have an open mind to learn from everyone? I mean, it has
because
to
we
be.
use Macs.
Could be. You know, we're going to get a lot of anti-Mac mail.
You
and
get it, no?
comments. And comments.
And I don't read comments. Moderate the comments on this one. Send them to us for review.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, so I think that needs to be done. You're right. They have to be open to the fact that they need to learn about this. And so any branding that needs to be created for an organization right on day one.
Right.
You need
So
to
now
decide.
it's email.
Email, yeah.
So we have. I mean, I was with email. I decided early on. I mean, again, these are things you learn, right? There are people who are looking at it on a BlackBerry. There are people who are looking at it on a Mac, on a PC, on different types of email software. Not everyone uses very fancy software.
And on different browsers.
On
which was
different
the initial
browsers.
thing.
And so I stuck to text.
Right.
But I used those colors or a set, you know, so that when people even see text-based email, they should be able to make that there should be a connect. And it should resonate with them that, okay, this is coming from this organization. So it was just simple text with one image that would wrap around the text on the right side. And it's easier for me as well because it's a template.
Right.
And there was no like, you know, कि एक बाकायदा poster जा रहा है. There's that one image. If it doesn't open on your computer, doesn't matter. It's not a deal breaker
Right.
because it doesn't have any critical information. It's just a
Right.
visual embellishment. The critical information are things like subject line. Then
The signature with all the information.
And then someone said, well, you know, can you put the date into the subject line, because just automatically we can, when it comes in without even opening it, we can see कि हम free हैं या नहीं उस दिन.
Right.
You know, so
Making
you
it easier for your
yeah, and those
customers.
some of those things evolved along the way as we learned
Right.
how to better reach people. So you design for email. पहले तो आपका logo हो गया, style guide हो गया, you get your fonts, your colors, your usage, where you're going to do what.
Right.
And your logo needs to now 2 years down the line, I would say कि आप Facebook के लिए, Twitter के लिए तो now you can just change your whole background,
Right.
which
The whole
is really
theme, yeah.
neat. So you know, do a background for that. If you're doing stuff on YouTube, make sure you have a logo that fits in there. Black and white. You know, we used to, when you guys were
Early
teaching
days.
me, used to say कि अच्छा ये fax कैसे होगा, ये आपने है तो बहुत अच्छा. But you know, when it's sent by fax to Hong Kong, it's going to look crap.
Yeah.
So can you
So
please
it should
design-
work in black and white
Yeah.
as well.
And now
gray.
we're like, fax? You know, what's that?
So I mean,
So-
all these things were important,
Yeah.
and they still are.
And they still-
and
and
the
even
medium
more
keeps
so now.
changing, so you need to.
I
be,
think there's a heightened interest in branding now.
yeah,
And people
even
are,
in the IT industry.
even in the IT industry, probably because of things like Twitter and Facebook.
Yes.
You know, because people are writing a lot about blog posts, etc., about how to use Twitter and Facebook for your brand.
Yes.
And so people are now talking about branding. And so then you go back to these basics, and I think the basics don't change.
No.
Fundamentals of positioning, and you know, which you can really pick up any
Right.
book and.
Now, tell us a little about how you used all this new medium for marketing, T2F.
It was the only choice.
Yeah.
And I think
No, but you
like
used it very effectively.
I think we learned one of the things we talked about earlier on was that clients nahi mante. So this was also a way to show
How it
that
could be done.
How it could be done. And I think the critical thing here, which none of the companies really focus on, is content. And the reason all this worked, and I've had this discussion with Rabia also before, कि the product has to be strong. Now, the reason our Facebook page has worked is because there's always something new happening there. Now, how is it happening? It's because there's something happening in the physical space.
Right.
So people have chosen that medium, and we'll see that of all the fans we have on Facebook versus, I think, the profile of people we have on email. We only ask them for their email address, but you get to know when people come, they'll say, "Acha, we're on your mailing list." So you have a general sense of the sort of people who are on the mailing list versus those who are on Facebook. The younger crowd is on Facebook. Now you can choose, right? You can go on our site and say, okay, I want to join the Facebook page, I want to sign up for the mailing list, I want SMS alerts, I want to get on Twitter, Google
Some of them
Calendar.
choose all.
Some will choose all if they're really crazy and intense, and some will choose what they like.
Right.
And
What's
so
the percentage? Have you done a...
no,
an
I
assessment?
mean, no, not really, but I mean, there are about 2,700 people on the mailing list and about 3,500 on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
And the interesting thing about Facebook is that it was a stealth project. I was writing blog posts on Facebook's user interface, on its privacy policy, and then I just thought, oh, and again, 1.5 years ago, Facebook, people were using it, but it's not for business.
No.
And
But now everybody's using
now
it.
everyone's using it. So I set up this group. उस वक्त pages नहीं थे. And I set up a group and I just wanted to see what would happen. For me, that was my experiment into social networking and seeing how people... So to this day, I've never invited anyone to join the group.
Okay.
Or the page, ever.
Right.
Just-
But they have.
But they have on their own. So if I pushed it, I think people would, it would have been double or triple.
Yeah.
But I feel that those people who are there because they want to be there.
Correct.
And so they'll value the information. And so I've never, like, my marketing approach is probably not by marketing standards very good because I don't push anything.
Right.
Here hai, I'm going to tell you once. I was like this in my exams as well, which is why I did very badly in my board exams. I went from O levels to Inter and BA, and there we were told ke repeat karo. And I've never been able to do that. I feel ke ek dafa bol diya na, ab samajh lo. Here it is, and
Yeah.
go read and see, and if you like it, you'll opt in. I'm not good. I just can't, because I know how irritating it is when the same email comes to me 20 times. I was
Right.
mortified. We had a little glitch in our SMS alerts, and to some carriers it was being sent 3 or 4 times, and
Right.
you'd get and so people would probably think कि हम 4 दफा भेज रहे हैं आपको, whereas it was not so.
Yeah.
Even for SMS, like, people would say, we're going to, why don't you do SMS alerts? And I'd say, well, it's the most invasive thing ever. कि आपको 12 बजे रात को कोई बोल रहा है कि जी, ग्वादर में ये जमीन मिल रही है.
But some people look at it as reminders. I mean, they do have
Right,
bad
so
memories.
we now have opt-in SMS alerts, and again, look, there's a difference in medium,
Right.
On Facebook, people are used to these interruptions all the time. So if you send something out 2 or 3 times a day, I think people will take it. On my mailing list, again, looking at the profile of people, 3-4 दिन पहले event से एक दफा भेज दिया. I've rarely sent a reminder. Because then there's Google Calendar,
Right.
there's SMS, then SMS will be sent to you 2-3 times, and then once on the day itself as a reminder, because the medium kind of allows that,
Yeah.
or you expect it from that medium.
Right.
And so I think the success, or whatever you want to call it, has been conscientiousness and sympathy to the recipient, and being,
that's important.
And I think that's critical, and I've been very careful about making sure that things are only sent to people who sign up, working hard on the content. I slave over those emails, and
But that was from early days. We often told people who wanted to set up websites that, look, don't do it just for the sake of doing
it, yeah.
Unless there is something that will bring them back.
Sure,
There's no
but
point.
that's the whole thing, that content is critical, and
Yeah.
people would say, अच्छा site बन गई, अब IT department को दे दो. And as content management systems started coming about, and there was a time when we used to build them. Now, obviously, we use tools that are out there and customized. But again, that's fine. You build a framework and you give it to someone, but then someone from the company who is passionate
Needs
about
to
the
take
company,
ownership and
marketing people or content people, we would always say hire content people, create promotions. You know, again, today अभी भी यही मसला है कि website बन गई, it's not treated like a serious medium. They'll run a promotion, they'll advertise on hoardings here, there and everywhere, they'll spend the money and then suddenly they'll remember and say, oh अच्छा website भी उस पे भी डालना भाई आप पहले website पे डालें, break the news there and have the entire promotion there in your newspaper ad, on your hoardings, say, give a little teaser and say that everything is there.
Right.
And now they can do that. Now there's that much more adoption.
Some organizations have started
doing that, but everyone's waiting for adoption. Everyone's waiting, and we just, I said, look, this is the only way I know how. This is my area, and so this is what I'm going to use. And so again, I was passionate about the web and what it could do, and it is living proof that
it works.
That it works.
Great. Well, Sabeen, we'll have to do another show because there's so much more to talk about, and we haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah.
But it's been great. Thank you so much for coming in and talking about all this.
And for reliving memories.
Memories, it's been great. Thank you very much. That was Sabeen Mahmood, COO of Beyond Information Technology Solutions, also Director of Peace Niche, whose project T2F is something that all of us, at least in Karachi, know about, and people living in Lahore and Islamabad pine to be there. Well, you just have to move to Karachi or at least visit. This is Jahara signing off from In the Line of Wire. Till next time.